have seen many of the time here in this particular university. And if today the National Law University is translated into the reality, each person he has done everything silently behind the curtain in the government, and who made it possible that National Law University is functioning. Let me go further and say that he is the pillar who has also supported that we will put this particular national university in a non-linear and very unconventional way. So I fondly call him Balebo. He is the Joint Secretary at present in the Ministry of Law, Government of Meghalaya, and he has a very unique journey until this particular phase of the life. And we thought that all of you should listen, that how he has come up to this particular level and translated many things. In fact, he was a person who was also helped in massively to set up the court system in Meghalaya, because Meghalaya actually did not understood that we have a modern court system instead of that traditional court which it has. So he has a huge role to play in bringing the court system into the Meghalaya. So I believe you will love to hear him, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, esteemed colleagues and beloved students, I extend a warm and hearty welcome to all of you as we gather for the 7th episode of our Weekend Chats series. Today holds a special place in our hearts as we are honored to have a distinguished guest who has played a pivotal role in shaping our institution, NLU Meghalaya. It is with great pleasure that I introduce our esteemed speaker for today, Shri Debu Lyngdoh. Before we delve into our discussion, I would like to highlight the personal connection we share with Shri Lyngdoh. As the former Chief Justice of the High Court of Meghalaya and former Chancellor of NLU Meghalaya, Shri Sanjeev Banerjee announced last week, Shri Lyngdoh's unwavering dedication was instrumental in transforming the once run-down Mayurbhanj complex into the remarkable campus we stand upon today. This campus was made possible in very limited time through his tireless efforts and the collaboration of the Registrar General of the Meghalaya High Court. Such an accomplishment paved the way for us to embark on our academic journey in the field of law and associated sciences. Currently, Shri Lyngdoh serves as the Joint Secretary to the Government of Meghalaya in the Departments of Law, Education and Public Works. His extensive experience and expertise in these domains played a pivotal role in providing us with this splendid infrastructure, a picturesque campus, comfortable hostels, and most importantly, a conducive intellectual space for learning. It is now the perfect place to embark on a journey of nonconformist thinking and nonlinear approach to education, along with strict focus, discipline, and hard work. Today, Shri Lyngdoh will share his valuable insights on the topic of administration, leadership, and life, a personal experience. We are confident that his journey and achievements will inspire and enlighten all of us. Before we proceed further, I kindly request our Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir to felicitate Shri Lyngdoh with a traditional shawl and a token of appreciation. Symbolize our heartfelt gratitude for his outstanding contributions to our institution and the state of Meghalaya, and therefore India at large. Thank you everyone for being a part of this significant event, and without further delay, let us extend a very warm welcome to Shri Debu to share his wisdom with us. Thank you, sir.
I've never experienced such an audience that I got. I'm getting this opportunity to be a member of this people. I've always been reminiscing of every project that I have done. As Sir was telling, yeah, I was very part of it since the review statute started to come out with text. The textual things we started. It was, I think, 2011. So you could imagine 2011 and 2022 when the Act was passed in the Assembly. Why I say this, after all the states were starting having NLU, the Union Minister of Law and Justice wrote to the state to legislate this statute so as to the state could have an NLU. And at that point of time, the ministry was willing to give whatever central assistance that was required to bring up the university. So we started with the drafting. Of course, we did some research. We went to the Meghalaya Act and other state acts also we went. But at that point of time, even separation of judiciary had not taken place. So, and infrastructure-wise, the budgetary provision of the department was very less. So after the initial drafting of the NLU Act, NLU Bill, we say, it got stuck because we had to propose a budget requirement for the university to come out. So it was kept hanging for some time. Every year in the budget provision we tried to incorporate. Then came the Supreme Court direction for separation of judiciary. So at that point of time, whether the NLU or the infrastructure for the judiciary. Because we didn't have any separate infrastructure for the judiciary at that point of time, except the Shillong District Court and the High Court. High Court also was in the bench. You might have seen near the now it's Assembly Library. That was the Guwahati High Court Shillong bench. Since it was a direction of Supreme Court, the precedence, the budgetary expenditure was, the requirement of budgetary expenditure weighed more for the infrastructure provision. So the NLU Act remained behind this thing. As Sir was telling, yeah, I was part of it. So we didn't have, I think you all know, Meghalaya land does not belong to the government. So we had problem to identify land for the judiciary. But since there was a direction from Supreme Court, we made a affidavit before the Supreme Court that to allow us phase-wise separation, not at a time. Even though we had very less district at that point of time, 7 districts, then it started increasing to 9, 10, now we are having 12 districts. So Supreme Court allowed. And at that time, our former Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, was in charge. He was part of, in the Guwahati High Court, he was the judge and in charge of Meghalaya. So, since the Guwahati High Court allowed, we said, okay, let the phase-wise separation of judiciary take place. So initially we started with Shillong, because Shillong had the infrastructure, had the old court building, but it was an old structure, now also it's still an old structure, some type. So we understood the financial implication at that point of time after separating it. Recruitment we had to have, We had to create posts for the judicial officers separately, because at that point of time we had judicial officers only in Shillong. In other districts, the judicial functions were done by the district magistrates, the DC, deputy commissioners, and his assistants, the ESCs. These were the CS officers or the IS officers. So we didn't require to have even the judicial magistrate posts at that point. So initially we created for the 7 districts all the posts. Then recruitment happened. Then I think 2012 we 14 we had created some more new districts. So that was the 4 districts were created. That was Goa, then Ampati, then Keria, and another one district that is Goa, Keria, Ampati, and Vesugalpa. So there was some more posts were created for the judicial officers. Then now comes the infrastructure. Those were created, recruitment was done. Then temporarily we started housing them, the courts, on top of Deputy Commissioner's office. We started building temporary structure wherever possible, and where it was not possible, we took the structures on land. That phase started. At that point of time, we got visited to High Court. So Justice Maheshwari was the Chief Justice. He took it on him, right? Banerjee, the former Chief Justice, he took over on himself. Similarly, Justice Maheshwari took it over on him. Why we not get that? So he started that weekend tour. We started every district. We identified, got the lands, made the DPRs through community, and almost all the buildings, the construction has started initiated. We got initiated. That's how phase-wise I'm telling, after now 10, 15 years, we are in place with full infrastructure for the judiciary. So, yeah, my involvement was there partly as, because it is my duty. I've been holding a post where I've been assigned such job. For that reason, might be I became a part of it. It was not necessary that no one is indispensable. Some other might have been in my place also. Yeah, now we come to the administration side. Administration, in fact, if I tell you, I've been a mediocre student throughout. Not that bright, talented student to say. Schooling, of course, I was brought up in a high-profile family, but my parents didn't allow me to enjoy that luxury during my childhood. Schooling, I just completed from school, Shillong. But of course, I think I still remember, I recollect what the Chief Justice had given you one lecture. Go to the brink, right? Experience the bad, experience the good. Go to the top level, but don't go to the other side. And return back, right? So I too had that phase during my school time. Since, not to say mediocre, I am not a mediocre student, my parents also does not accept that, but it was that I was lazy to study. And I had got involved with bad companies. So it was a situation where I might have slided off that other side, but due to the, I think most of you would be blessed having your own parents. Me too, I am blessed. describe what habits, you should understand what habits determine that position. Yeah, after that, I took life seriously. Started my studies very seriously, took it very seriously. Then, after my 12th, the 10th was not, it was pre-university. My mom is a doctor, so she thought, I took science, of course. She thought, no, in class 10, the 10th standard, she thought that I would take up science, so that I follow her father was in India, but he was in the service, administrative. But I didn't take none, not my, I didn't take arts also, I didn't take science also, I went with home as stats. So, after my graduation, I ended up in the Indian Statistical Institute. Continued there for 6 months. Later on, I called on my parents. I said, no, I'm not able to take up this heat here. So my dad said, okay, come back. I was in Chennai. So I returned back. Then my dad said, no wasting time. Do whatever you want, but I'm not going to allow you to eat freely at home. I said, okay, kya karna hai? Go for typing, go for stenography. That at that point in time, there was no other extracurricular. You had to do something. Then there were off period. Near my house, there was one mechanical vehicle, kya hota hai? Garage. Where you repair vehicles, so started getting myself involved there, started learning some of those, skill development of myself. Then my dad saw that I was really working hard. Of course, even during some off time, I was driving taxi also. So he said, no, that cannot happen. Since I have let you free, you are doing so many things, this is not expected of you. He said, okay, there are some field assistant work where you will be getting research also, you will be learning also. So in the malaria, district malaria office, I went there as field assistant. Then, 1996, I joined. There I learned entomology. I learned first time the microscopic reading of P. vivax, P. falciparum, the mosquitoes. And of course, they didn't allow me, since I was a graduate, to specifically be in the field. They gave me office work. In addition, I had to go for 15 days. I was in the field. 15 days I was in office. During that period, I met my wife, who was also there, working there. Then we started preparing for the competitive exams. I qualified. I don't know if it's a blessing in disguise that I didn't take up that job, or my name didn't come out. During the Kargil War, I was qualified to the Assistant Commandant, BSF. So I was informed that I have been selected. Later on, it came out in place of my name, some Debu and Lyngdoh. So my dad said, how I was, later on, he said, medically unfit. I said, what for medically unfit? Because when we went for physical test, I had a very bad diarrhea. So since my mom was a doctor, I left from Shillong, the physical was in Guwahati. So my mom, since being doctor, she just gave me a medicine. She said, no problem, just take this medicine, Metron 4. Metronidazole 4, Metronidazole 4. So I did that, having a very bad stomach. That's why you were better do it, no problem. You running ahead, running ahead. You go and running. So I thought I have declared. Later on, when we inquired, it was found that even though I have declared openly, there was no written prescription that I had to consume that medicine. So they took it as drugs. Anything, whatever happens, it's a blessing in disguise. Kargil War started. The person who got selected in my place came back in coffin. So that's what person and employer. So that is one phase. Then I prepared for my competitive exam, got selected in the Secretariat Service. Both of us, me and my wife, we got selected together, joined the Secretariat Service, and I was appointed, because Secretariat Service is a group of almost 40 departments, right? So I was posted in law department. The moment I got in law department, I said, I think it's a direction. Then after a few months, I told my dad, I asked first my wife, you pursue, I will be, whatever I've got. She said, no. For me it's enough, you pursue. I said, we can run both of us in a clerical job. Because she is a postgraduate. I said, you pursue. She said, no. For me enough, you pursue. Then I told my dad, I'm going for you. Dad jokingly started saying, it's not your cup of tea. I challenged. That was a challenge I made with my dad. And exactly 3 years, I completed. And immediately, I completed the law. Then the post of law officer vacancy was there. Got recognized, and I got selected. So from there was no looking back. Continued from law officer, I got promoted. That's the time I was hunting for the judicial lands and all. We traveled extensively through the state. There was a committee constituted after the Supreme Court order. I was made part of the committee and we achieved. We managed to identify all the lands in all the districts. But if you happen to travel to those districts, you'll see. I think already in the website also you'll see some of those posts that were recently inaugurated. I think they put it up to you see the Meghalaya board. So that was the satisfaction that I got after all this, and now since this is one more target in our hand, the NLU, I hope I'll be able to, until I've got another 7 years, I will see that it stands up. And of course, now we come to the administrative. The struggle means there is always ups and downs in the job front, but until you love your job, you love your studies, you love your subject, you'll not be able to even move a step ahead, right? So, administrative setups, administrative governance means the problems that we face within a single file. There will be lots of problems that you have to go through. Like now, if you are given an answer to a question and you have to reproduce an answer, you have to research, right? To go through the library, you have to go through the books, you have to go through the lots of glossaries. So for us also, once a particular file comes, we cannot just put up like a drilling assistant, this project. This is a proposal, we may agree or we may not agree. Without going step by step, for every para we have to go through what are the legal angles are there, what are the law points are there. Oppositions will always be there in anything that a scheme or a policy that the state formalizes. Might be in other states, the opposition would be purely on law points, purely on legal terms, purely on the ecology or environment. But here we have an added opposition where inclusiveness is not taken for granted. But government policies are always inclusiveness. Proposal comes through inclusiveness. But here always you will find there is an opposition. And any new policies, good policies is formalized by government, you will always be facing that. The state government will always face. Whichever government is in place will always face that. final plan. So that these policies are not put back or not hold back. Like here you find settlements come before. People have profession. They have the feeling of to be left alone, to be left in their own cocoon, right? So that mindset has to be changed. So every time, I think if you all go to the fields, you will find, you go for research and you will find, people will not want to share something. So why should we give out our thoughts to them? Why should they ask also? Why should they come and ask us also? Right? So to tackle those, we have to first prepare ourselves how to tackle those first obstructions that comes before us. While framing, I think you all, if you go researching little 2-3 years back, 4 years back, when this government came, there was lots of pressure to introduce ILP. And I did maximum research on ILP. I found, yeah, we had, 73 we had ILP. But in between, I think 5 times ILP was, the title factor, the question was amended. And every 5 times, there were some repeats. Not all of them were amended. There was one last review order, except it is only for the Kasi side. When I brought out that, all my findings, when I brought out that time, Chief Secretary was Parian. He said, keep it behind, keep it behind. I said, why? Hurry, I know you have got the facts, but if people come to know, then we will be in trouble. I said, why? This order system having ILP. I said, yes. Because when we, now, after the India Code came, they have removed all those archives. Before India Code, I could get those through the net. But now, when I try to get those data, I'm not getting them. I think they have removed from the archive also. But then, I went to Ministry of Science for that particular. I went to the library there in the KSR section. So, we came up, instead of ILP, to appease this group, we came up with the Meghalaya Resident Safety Bill. The Meghalaya Resident Safety Bill, we have the main, we had a discussion with them. What is your problem? Give us. He said, others are coming, there is no record of people coming in Meghalaya, and they are taking over your job, they are taking over your work. That is the main contention. Our livelihood is at this. I said, livelihood at this. Then I said, who are they? They only say the car. I said, okay. Then we worked on the MRSS. We shared with them. MRSS tracks only. You will be coming from outside. Naturally, you will be looking for a house. Right? Or you will be staying in hotel. You cannot prolong your stay in hotel. Money counts. So, we devised this, that whoever comes in Meghalaya will naturally go for the rental accommodation. Of course, then once they go to the rental, so we made a law where landlord, tenant will have to share their data. If I am a landlord, if I want to give it on rent, I have to get the permission of the Dorbar or the village head, and whoever will be renting my space, I have to collect the information from them and pass on to them. And then we made it digitized with the nearest police station. That's what we digitized with the nearest police station. And then in the district, there is a district task force who will be, and if the person who has come over to the datas were already the right place. Voters has to share the information, I think, every day. Today's guest, voter has to send. That was already there. Then we agreed on that. The legislators, that was prior to this government. When this government came, again the ILP came, they wanted all residents. So at that point of time, I was still in High Court. When I came back, then they already made a bill. I had to be behind the scenes because at that point of time, it was not done. But in the cabinet, nobody came. I was there. And the President and the General. And when I saw the bill, the General was looking at me, I was looking at him. He said, how we explain it. They introduce almost indirectly level license. This is not our subject, it's a central subject. So, that government deferred the matter and asked us to agree again. So, we added 3 months. We just changed. It's not only people coming, that's silent. We added all people passing through, staying in Meghalaya more than 24 hours. Then, if that's said, we cannot 24 hours because there will be difficulty for us also to process the documentation. Then it will be 48 hours. Then we sent to the governor for his assent. The governor did. He deserved it for presidential assent. We sent after that to president. We got rejected. Because I knew it would get rejected. We could not make that pictures and because it is not a state which is separated from. It's not like other states where you just enter and you go out from that same route. It's just a thorough. People has to travel through this to go to other. Of course, we made it simplified. It will be digitized. The moment a person comes, he just shows his biometrics, it gets recorded. Even though the Principal Act, we are doing it fully digitized. And so these are a few things. When we legislate a law, when we legislate, we examine a policy matter. Because through a policy, we have to later on, the policy master says, hey, we have to bring out the laws. So through that, we have to make laws. So these are the administrative pillars that we have to pass through. So, as of now, I have been able to tackle whatever obstructions that I have. And now I'm here as a project, so if you have anything, you can ask me. I didn't prepare anything for today, but just except for myself. Like,
In fact, it's beautiful. I mean, so much things you have make it. Thank you so much. So the floor is open now because I think he is the person with the treasure of things. Maybe he has seen the state in and out. And being in the Ministry of the Law, everything is rooted through, right? Any policy has to have in a state or law has to have in a state, it goes through this particular department itself. And the biggest of all, which he was also pointed out, that setting up the judicial system in the state itself a huge challenge, right? Because you could understand until 15 years before, most of the districts doesn't have the court system, right? So, whatever we talk about the enforcement of the right, individual right, it was actually not in his full shape, even though the DC office was handling that particular. So now the floor is open. You can ask any question you want, and also about the NLU, if you want to have information you wanted about the NLU, that also.
Yeah, like last time, that time I was telling about another hiccups. I was telling about the LP and RSS. Then we had a problem with the CRPC species.
Yeah.
It was a tradition. 6th schedule was there. We had the district councils. They had the national justice. So justice was delivered as per the national justice, where CRPC CPC is not applicable in this area, the 6th schedule areas. So we had problems. After separation, why we didn't apply CRPC at that point of time? Because as I said, we were going phase-wise. So once we have completed the separation of judiciary from executive, the need arises and CRPC should be notified. Because we created the role of district judge, district session judge, district judge. But we did not use that nomenclature in the orders. Right? If we didn't apply CRPC, so there was a case which brought from Nambo, it came after separation of judiciary. The opposite party challenged how would this order be passed by a district judge, district session judge. We created a post whose nomenclature is district session judge. They said no, it should have been like additional deputy commissioner. At the time, then we found, in fact, at that point of time, when we did phase-wise separation, I could have done it district-wise, CRPC, CPC. Purposely, we didn't do this, let full separation happen. And when that person came for litigating in High Court, the justice, he already knows, but he issued notice to the state government. How does district session judge comes? He already knows. Then we said at that point of time, when the person litigated, full separation was not done. Matter came to the government, and it came to the government. I think we had almost 5 or 6 times the government. Not much of a position, all good. If you go through 6 schedules, para 3, or para 5, 4 and 5, it's very clear that in the 6 schedule, CRPC applies. Their interpretation was different. I said, it applies. Then they didn't want to acknowledge that. And we brought out on CRPC. You can go to the net, you see the notification of application of CRPC, where we wrote existing district council. This notification will not apply to the district council rules. Let them under the 6 schedule. That was we had lots of questions when we had that. But I think it's the other day he clarified it. One of his lecture. Yeah, that day we discussed. So this is one more, like the major administrative hiccups that I had.
In fact, I think you must have got a lot of clue from his lecture itself, because the governance process, which I think I will also talk initially with somebody in Jagan and discuss that the governance process here is basically fragmented, if I would say, because of the historicalism. The traditional institutions are on. Then there is a district council which has been brought because of the assigned province. It was also quite historic to protect the rights of this particular state. And then now we found that it got a constitution structure of the state. So all the state machineries has been put in place. Now what I found from my own understanding and very deep in the cell that not coming to this particular depth, that many times this governance structure are not in sync. So everybody is trying to position themselves in their own domain. Traditional institution, because it is also possibly a historical mistake. that when this sixth schedule has been brought in, the traditional institutions has not been taken into the consideration, or for the matter which is been called Khasi democracy, which has not been considered to be a governance institution for the state. Possibly if it would have been considered, it would have been, made little more sense in that time. But I think Mr. Ray gave a different design at the time, which is akin and understood by the government of that particular point of time, that this is a sixth schedule concept which he brought into this particular aspect, and then this district court, district council has born out of that particular process. Actually, I was meeting with one of the chairmen here at district council. I think it's called chairman, right? It's same,
Chief Executive.
Chief Executive Magistrate. And then while we are, I think, for almost 45 minutes talks and all this thing, and he made a very surprising comment. He said, the Chief Minister has to take a permission from me to do anything in the state. So it is quite meaningful, right? Meaningful in a sense, that means he is trying to ascertain that if is the government, this is the district council, who is the real government. Or this is a district council who is a control of the real government. I'm talking about the mental frame, I'm not talking about the legal frame. Then whenever, when Madam Patricia Mukim was talking, he said that, Darbashana is basically do all the job which the civic society should do. And Darbashana doesn't have any kind of a financial support. Right? When the Panchayati Raj has been introduced in the country, Darbashana was not treated as a Panchayati Raj. So they have not put into this particular place.
We got funds for Gram Nagar lands under 13 Finance Commission, and we wrote to the ministry to allow us that fund to be utilized, because Gram Nagar Act does not apply to the scheduled areas. So what we did is we wrote to the ministry to allow this fund to be utilized for the Darbashnas. They didn't.
So that means, what basically happened, this is which I was telling, the Meghalaya is a bedrock of the research. You can do so much. Because of the historical reason and the governance fragmentation, there is many things to be plugged in. In fact, I don't know, many people possibly antagonized by my statement. It is a time even to look that do we require a district council at all at present when the state got the statehood? Or is it serving anyway a betterment of the society or not? Because I was talking with a number of people here who are quite learned and understood quite well about this particular system. They said even the district council, for earning more the money, also going into the terrain where they don't have a jurisdiction. And many of the time development work is been blocked by the district council approaches. So, which he has told one very important thing, that there is a lot of perceptive understanding and sentimental understanding, which is very, very prevalent in our state, in the state of Meghalaya. So I think there you need to work on it, because which we were keep on talking about, that your every policy making, law making and governance mechanism has to be driven by the data, not by the emotion, sentiment and perceptive understanding. So that way, many of you who are actually doing the advisory courses, I just asked yesterday also that give me the detail what advisory courses you are doing. Many of you should go down to the lane and to find out these particular governance fragmentism, that how the things are happening. When you are talking about the legal documentation, or whenever you are talking about other kind of legal archiving and all these things, other kind of advisory courses, you should pick up these particular issues and you should try to at least find out where is the problem. If you know the problem, then it will be easy in your next time to suggest some solutions, right? So what Chief Minister told other day, you have a lot many things to be done, not only to read, but go down to the street and to find out, do the research and support the governance process. And I think what Vadu told today, it is a reflective of that particular aspect, right? If the governance process is not been strengthened, financial process will not be strengthened. If the financial process is not strengthened, cannot be percolated down to the last mile of the state, right? And if you understand, we generally talk about the community engagement, right? And I personally believe the purpose of the university to uplift the community value talkers. Uplift in a sense, all this matter, governance matter, understanding of these issues and all these things. So it is your responsibility also. And that was a specific reason I was requesting Badevu to come on the platform to talk with you. You also heard Madam Mukim, Patricia Mukim other day, and many other, that even the Cyril also. So you need to go back now, because you cannot, and if you wanted to really be a good researcher, you need to go back to the lane now, to the state now, to the village now, and then find out that what is this particular governance challenges and how we can bring a solution to this. You also need to even go and create a capacity building to all these, society institutions or traditional institutions, because traditional institutions are good and it should be continued, but there is a need for modernization. Development, the thinking process or the process they are applying has to be, upgraded as the time is changing, right? Because the lifestyle is changing, times is changing.
The governance has to be accountable.
Governance has to be accountable. And at the same time, this traditional institute also need to, afford the individual right, because many of the time traditional institute ignore the individual right. That also, because individual right is guaranteed under the constitutions, right? Right to life, when we were talking about the 21, and it has a huge connotation into this. So friends, my request will be, you cannot sit in the classroom, and which I am finding you are doing more, and I thought that you will go out of the classroom. So you need to go to the lanes, to the village, to the highway, to do your research, right? And advisory courses are for that only. To be non-taught and to train yourself to get into this particular system. Having said that, do you have any questions? Yes.
Sir, one thing that I have understood after coming here is that the Rambashnong is not elected, but he is selected. So what is the criteria for selection of a Rambashnong?
See, there are different laws. They have got the election and selection of nationals, cigars, chiefs, the CMs, the ministers. So every village practices a different method of selection or election. There are villages there is election. But now all the rules that are coming to work for them, we are changing it and we are converting it to be other subjects. Mostly, whatever are coming now, we are converting them to other subjects and women relations.
And
Women relations. I have added this in most of the laws that they have come recently. And I think council also realized, you might have seen 2 weeks or 1 week back, the newspaper CM Nisaponi said that we are working on PHDC for the. So if PHDC starts, all the villages under it also will have to start. So yeah, and so as I was telling, research means the accountability which I was telling. As of now, since modernization has happened, the district council by themselves are at ease without if they don't modernize. because they are doing the same administration as they were doing earlier. And the datas are losing, we are not having any more. In fact, the society is losing. So, since the funding are increasing, but they are happy to remain as they were. So, whether these funds are reaching to the grassroots or not, no one is. So, the villagers have to be educated on that part. But now, not recently, it's been almost, we are second to rail line there. It got started burning. But Land Acquisition Act, this 2013, is very clear. So there we can always surpass all the provisions. Relaxation of the land acquisition process of land. No one can, like, I was telling CM sir, Chief Minister to ask me, no. Railway, we don't require. I should as well. Due to political reason, that what's the deal? I don't know whether we'll be able to do this. Once railway comes, how much of development will be for the state? Yeah, we will do the check and balance of outsiders not to come and stay.
Grab the land.
Grab the land and come and stay. That has to have a mechanism, right? It cannot be straight only ILP. Now, so many countries, international, can we just go and stay in the country? No. So we can prepare such mechanism, right? So this is one thing that we have to show to the government so that even the villagers to be, once government gets those type of data, those type of ideas, policies, so that we can project, so that people will not be blindly against those projects. When I think Meghalaya and Shillong, I just go down to Guwahati. Difference of projects.
Very good. In fact, I think this is a very good, research agenda. You people should take it up into your advisory support courses related to that, how you can protect the interest of the land here, but at the same time, the development agenda can also continue. Finding the data, going and understanding the people attitude also, why the people are thinking it is not done. Even cross stakeholder analysis can be a very good document for the government also, even to be presented on this. That what the people are thinking, because we can only hurt those who are the leaders, right? Not the common people. So if you can go to the common people and get that particular data, brought it into the research, that will be the wonderful thing, right? So I believe all the teachers should gear up their students to send it, okay, into the different places, into do things.
Sir, in her editorial in yesterday's paper, Patricia Mukhim has written a scathing piece actually, and in one place she mentions that the people of Meghalaya actually think that this is her statement, not mine, that the sixth schedule is above the constitution, and she says that that is not the case because the constitution guarantees the sixth schedule. But in your, you are at the forefront of implementing the policies. Does that sentiment actually run through? And if it does, how do you negotiate with people, to, implement the policies that the government wants to implement?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We always get that hindrance from when we implement such policies. But as of now, to see it's a department-wise, going to the grassroots is a special department when it goes and works the block or the subdivision where they implement it. How they implement it, we have to go to the field. I will not be able to say because now we have the CNR. It has got almost about 100, 200 schemes. So at that point of time when they implement those schemes, I feel, means what I understand, how they implement it, going to the individual household. We won't even at that point of time discuss with the professional. Because the individual household, they know their needs. They are the actual beneficiaries. So a data is collected, who voters to get to that, right? So, but even if we go to 50%, we are achieving that. So I feel
The miles achieved. So, in fact, this is a good thing. Why can't you also, I mean, this is, I'm putting a proposal before you, because we are also talking about the knowledge management system. If you can collect the small data while you are doing advisory courses, you put this particular data into your knowledge management. And whoever is going to access that and analyze that, they can also do that, right? So we can bring out the factual state instead of a perceptive positioning on things.
yeah, like talking only to the CEM or talking only to the EM or ombudsman, we won't get data corrected. So we have to, if we see that village is underdeveloped, I think they're wrong, they're giving us wrong feedback. Once we go there, we can show them, no, whatever you told us is wrong.
Because facts speak louder than anything else. Right. And in fact, this is also I felt throughout my life whenever I was working in the government. Biggest understanding of mine was when we were working on the Ganga River Basin management, because we have gone through the last mile data. So the representation of Ministry of Water was something. And when we gone to the last mile, stakeholder and discuss this particular thing, understanding was totally different. Right, and we could, bring those particular data and project before the government, and then the, understanding on the policies and the choice of the technology was totally differently handled. So this, getting into the, the field, you should make a habit, right? Most of the time you don't have anything in Saturday and Sunday, so sometimes you should catch hold of your teachers. And then you should go to the field, right, to get the thing. Because until you are getting into the field, you will learn anything. Or even you can do it after your class, because most of the time your classes get over by 1 o'clock if you don't have additional other classes. And if you learn even a little less law, I don't mind, or any other subject. But if you can learn the research, rest of the thing you will learn by your own. Okay, any other question? No question? Okay then, thank you so much for your patience hearing, and I believe all of you have enjoyed, you got a lot of insight. And Debu is one of your teacher. So anytime you want to reach out to him for any kind of a help or understanding or maybe collection of the data, permission to get into the field, because the biggest problem is in data collection that government doesn't give the permission. So you can approach to him and he will help you to get those particular permissions so that we can go and get the data and analyze this thing. Because I believe education institutions, if you simply study some of the subject, you might be understand ABCD of subject, that's it. But if you are not a good researcher, you cannot be impactful when you are going out of the society and you are steering that particular society.
So, as a statutory body, really, you can, for the research purpose, it's not a specific oriented. I don't want research oriented projects where we go what we do. We can issue a general order to all the deputy commissioners and corporation.
That will be
If you can give us a letter from the lady,
yes, sure.
I'll issue to all the deputy commissioners.
That is a wonderful, nothing can be a better reward than this, right? Because we keep on writing to the government, nobody helps in getting the data. Write to you, okay on that. And in that case you should start going in the field, right? Our all fellows, PA Sanmans, fellows as well as the student and the teachers, you should be in the ground. And if you get this particular data, you can really come up with very good papers, right? Which will be published even in the high-rank journal if you have ambition for a good publication. And that will also very enriching experience for us in understanding the entire administration as well as our knowledge management system. And if you can do it for our state here, we can extend this particular understanding even number of states, because I know that this is a huge deficient domain, the data analysis and the policy making, and this is the reason we are also bringing the master programs. As you have a undergraduate program, master program exclusively for this. This is a Master of Science in Policy Science Analytics. Right? Because country now has to take the fact-based decision, not the emotional, not the perceptual. Thank you so much once again. Enjoy your day. And this is yours.
Sir, after that I'm free.
Back to the